How are you getting on today, folks? How are you all doing? Welcome back to another video from Courtney Brothers. And in today's video, as the title may suggest, we are rebuilding our Vogelsang macerator on our slurry tank, our high-spec slurry tank. This is, it's a Vogelsang chopper unit. This came with, I think I gave a brief rundown of this on one of the videos there lately. That is an egg-quick dribble bar. And they were kind of the suited ones to the high-spec tanker, and they came with a Vogelsang macerator, which is German macerator, which they were really the first of the macerators to come to Ireland. I don't know the full history on them, but that is, they were the macerator that came on pretty much all the slurry equipment at the beginning, and lots of different makes, like everything, lots of different makes and types out there now. But we have a Vogelsang. And I done a video on this a while back, and I was kind of saying I was getting a bit disappointed on it because it was getting wore out and that, and I was in two minds at the time, thinking of changing or rebuilding it. I was kind of going between them two options, but I put up a video on it, and I got a call from David from Vogelsang Ireland. He's the man that's over Vogelsang Ireland, basically. And he said, if you don't mind, I might call out and go through your macerator and have a chat with you. And I was like, perfect. So he came out before, today's date is the 14th of January. So yeah, we need to get this rebuilt. But he came out before Christmas and kind of went through it with me. He said, if you don't mind, I'll talk through it. And I said, perfect. And show you a few bits and explain it, because I had no experience rebuilding these or opening them or nothing, because to be fair, that macerator is 2018. We bought the tank new in 17. Dribble bar macerator came the following year, and I have never opened it or done nothing with it, and it was just the performance was kind of getting a bit slack. But he just basically went through everything, saying just show me the parts, and we opened it up together and everything, and he showed me parts and he showed me what was wrong with it, which wasn't much. Is basically just needed a rebuild. Still needs a rebuild. So after chatting to David, he was great, good enough to come out, show me what was going on and talk through it and give a list of parts, rebuild parts, and then I went and got price and all that. And anyways, I'm going down the road of keeping this and rebuilding it. So that is what we're at today, basically. We stripped it down before the Christmas, so that's why it's left like this. So just basically the performance was getting slack on it. The slurry was blocking a lot and all that, but of course I did know it was being wore, or like there had to be wear on it. So we went through it and he showed me the parts. I thought it was going to be a big costly job, and it was going to be almost more viable to go and buy a new macerator. But when we went through it, less than €1,000 for the parts to rebuild it, all the parts needed, like the cutting rings and the knives and all that, and we'll go through them now in a few minutes. And seal as well, because what's happening is there was a seal gone in it, and it was kind of letting the slurry mix through where the air should be, and it was blocking up and jamming up, which I should have been doing maintenance on this. Very slight. What I mean maintenance now is just kind of giving it a clean out and a flush out. I used to put a load of water through it, but I needed just to clear out. There's an air vent, very important air vent in it, that I didn't really know about. I knew it was there, but I didn't realize the importance of it and that it needed to be cleaned out. So he just went through that stuff. So when I found out about the macerator and got to know it, I was like, I'm most certainly going to rebuild it, because as I said, like less than €1,000 for the parts, about €900 I think the parts were. Like, so I was expecting spending about $2,000. You'd hear stories saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, but when you actually go and do something yourself or find out the information, often it's not as extreme as what you may think or what you may have been told. But so we go through the parts, the wear and parts that I've got for it, I suppose, which is only a handful of bits and pieces really. These are, I'll show you, there's two. These are your two knives. There's two of these, the exact same. There's a left and a right side. Or you have one for your left side, one for the right. I'm pretty sure, actually I haven't compared, but I'm pretty sure left and right are the same. They just turn the other way. And these are your cutter rings, aren't they? I'm going through the cutting ring. Second now, get this out and show you. That's your new cutting ring. That bolts on, just show you for reference. You can see all them holes in there around that, where my finger is pointing there. That's your cutting ring, and that just bolts in there. You have 4 bolts. We've 1 or 2 of the bolts taken out. Aidan has made a start in this, but I wanted to do a video on it just to give you the bit of knowledge on it, because there is a lot of these in the country, and if you're like me, you just might know the ins and outs. And so I said, definitely deserves a video and show you the how to go through it and basically do a rebuild on it. So that bolts in there, and that's a wearing part. Because your knife runs on this, and I'll show you the old, when you see the old ones now compared to the new ones, you'll see what I mean. And your knife then goes onto your rotor like so, just pops on there. I'm in the process of cleaning this here. Pops on there, and that turns at much faster pace than what I'm turning my hand, and that cuts any silage material to be in your slurry, where the knife here passes the edge of the hole. Few slurry, bits of plastic maybe, well, like obviously big massive lumps of plastic block any macerator, but when you have your general debris material in it, that will cut there, and it needs to be a clean cut edge on them. It's nearly like knife and a shear bar effect, basically. Like if you think of your silage harvester, you have your knives and your shear bar. That needs to be a sharp edge to cut something clean. And when they start wearing, the edges go around, and instead of cutting it clean, it tears it or kind of breaks it, and that can lead to build up. And then we'll say my knives were wore, so you can lead to build up. What was happening, slurry with bits of silage and that in it was building up between the knife and almost spreading out the knife because the edge was gone off it. That is my old knife there, and I don't know if you can see, but the edge on that is gone pretty round. That like the cutting edge is gone off it, like you can't feel it with your finger, where that's razor sharp. But again, of course, it has whatever 7 or 8 years done, so that is well to be expected. I'll just show you then as well in a comparison, old knife to new knife. I don't know if you can see the height difference there on the edge. That is just general wear and tear, just from all the spinning that has done against the cutting ring. Steel on steel, it's going to wear. And no matter what macerator you have, there's different forms of them and all that, but when you're running steel on steel and cutting material, you're going to have wear, which is 100% normal. So that's your old one, and you can see it has a groove wore in there as well. New one is dead flat. So that's your knife. Cutting rings, old versus new. You can see the edge is gone off that, it's kind of gone round. And that's your new one, and see the groove has wore in here as well. That's not on that. So, and another important thing to do with these macerators when you are spreading slurry, when I fold down the arms in that dribble bar, and I keep the spool valve, I've it set on constant pumping in the tractor, fold down the arms, and I just flick a switch, and that diverts the oil from your rams of the dribble bar into the macerator, into the motor on the macerator, and straight away then that's spinning flat out. But I suppose 70% of the time or more, unless if the slurry was right and wasn't like blocking or getting a bit tricky, the macerator was going the one direction. So I had way more wear. It's not visible from the camera there now, like I can't really show it to you on that, but I had way more wear. We'll just say it was going clockwise, and it was actually going anti-clockwise, because I can see it here. it had way more wear done on this side of the cutting ring, and the knife as well, much the same. Because I was just flicking the switch, as I said, and the macerator was going the one way, but really and truly, you should spread maybe half your load and change your direction, or spread one load one way, and just keeps the wear more even. And if there's a slight bit of debris building up, you change your direction, it should go. Because if you were like a good bit of the slurry we do is, you know, it's on suckler farms and it's bale silage. The slurry is that bit harder managed almost, or it is harder managed. There's more mixing to it, and there is more fibre in it. So it will, it's going to cause more bits more issues with this. But to be fair, in all the years I've had it, I've only like taken the back plate off that macerator a handful of times during the season. Like that has often gone weeks and weeks of use, and no blockages, no issues. Sometimes you might notice 4 or 5 of the chutes getting a bit light, so you just switch the direction, and usually instantly you'll see it'll clear itself out, and it'll back to normal again, and it'll let out all your fibre and all that. Like, you have to bear in mind your suction pipe in the tanker is 6 inches, and you can pick up a ball of plastic 6 inches thick, and that can end up going out to the macerator. And although our feed into the macerator is 4 inch, I'm in metric or imperial terms here, but it's 4 inch feed. So you can literally have a 4 inch ball of plastic going out into this unit. So it's going to be a while there chopping it up until it gets out these holes, which are, what are they roughly speaking? They're about 25 mil. So it needs to, that is the biggest your material can be before it goes out. But that unit will chop it. Like, that's going at, I'm not sure the RPM, but that is moving pretty fast. So you'd be surprised what that has chopped up and will go back out. But yeah, so that's just a reference of what is going on in the macerator. And the macerator as well distributes it. As much as chopping and everything, your macerator distributes the slurry, so it's not going out the easiest pipes. I suppose the ones directly under it are the shortest pipes. The distribution is a big thing, and the air inlet, which I'll go through, the air vent is pretty important on them. So it was very important, and mine was block solid, and it could be block solid with a couple of years because the slurry was pulsing. I said that to David, and he said, I know exactly what's wrong with yours. And when he opened it up, to be honest, I was still a bit skeptical. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll need to see this now to believe it. But when we opened it up and seen exactly what was going on, I was like, yeah, I get you. It was blocked with silage, and there was wire in it. Wire had jammed in between it, and which made it in a way that it wasn't cut and clean. It had the spring pushed back, so it had the gap. It had this lifted away slightly, and like basically your knife was doing nothing. It was letting the silage in, build up, and way more prone to blocking. Again, if you are on, we'll say, like slurry out of a digester or from a dairy farm as well, you have a lot more water in them and a lot less fibre. So a worn out macerator could work all day long. But when you're on the trickier slurry from bale silage and that, your macerator needs to be in tip-top shape to get that out properly. But anyways, what are we at? I'm cleaning this up. This is your rotor. This is your main unit. That's your springs. Aidan has this somewhat started to rebuild, but I said told him I wanted to do a video on it, so I'm actually going to take that unit out again. They're your springs, and I'll go through them in a minute. And they're compressed, but I'll put them in the vise and show you how to compress them while I'm doing the video, because that'll probably be the only part I won't go through. This seal here, again, I didn't even know was in it until David showed me. That seal goes down there. You see, this is our new seal in here, the white ring. Goes down there, and that seal was fairly well torn. The good was gone out of it, and that is what separates, keeps your slurry should be out here, and your air should be in here. And that seal wasn't doing its job, and it was letting the slurry in, so therefore the vent system wasn't working at all, basically. That's why I had pulse and slurry. And I actually went back through a video I had on Snapchat on my phone of the first load I spread with that, and sure, it was chalk and cheese, the way it was operating now compared to where I got it first. But I suppose it was slowly deteriorating, and I didn't realise it. But yeah, anyways, I'm blathering here, so I'm just cleaning this off basically here, getting all the slurry, little bits of fibre debris out of it. I don't want this video to be overly long or boring-y, so I'm just going to clean that out and we'll catch up with you then. Now, as you would have seen from the time lapse, I was wire brushing this here, and I'll show you why now. I'm not going wire brushing the whole thing, like I just find it a bit unnecessary because it's going to be covered in slurry again. And also, I give you a bit of wrong information there, Michael. This is the air vent here. I don't know if you can see the daylight down through it. That's where the air crosses over. I pointed in the center area, but that's consumed in slurry. So that's your air vent, and that was well blocked up with all this caked up stuff here. The likes of that there kind of fell down on the ground, and so I just cleaned it all out. Just got a screwdriver down into it, just gave it a stick like that, knocked it out both sides, so it is pretty good there now. And I wire brushed that surface there because I'll show you now. This is this one for the side. This one here, you take that off with these two little grub screws. They hold it on, the one that's attached to the rotor or stays on the rotor. So got them out. Which side is it? I'll just show you here. This knife carrier floats. Set you down here for a second. Floats here. When you pull out the R clip, that spring releases and it puts the tension on this, and that floats there on that housing. So I just gave it a right good clean around it, and it's because it was tight enough and it's floating way freer there now. It's just build up of fibre caked slurry again, so no harm put a bit of time into that. Clean it up while it's open. It'll never be easier to do. Actually have that knife hanger upside down there, but it's just to give you a reference anyways, that it does, that's its slide, and as it wears the springs spread out more and this kind of moves up slowly, but it moves very slowly. So while it's open, now is the time to clean it, and just so it doesn't seize up, then the springs won't be able to keep the knife pressed out against the cutter ring, and also the inside of the knife carrier. Give it the wire brush as well. Clean it all up, get rid of anything that's stuck to it basically. But yeah, keep cleaning here and we will soon be ready for assembly. Now I just said I'd show you assembling a bit here. So you have one knife carrier that has two holes they're like locking screws or grub screws. They hold your knife carrier onto the rotor just for assembly really, I'd say. When it's all in place, they're actually do nothing. I think it's just make life easier for assembling. So, and it's the side with the seal, not the shaft, that has them. So you just drop her down, and that is lovely and smooth floating there now. And just prop it up a small bit. Excuse the bench. I don't know why the trailer has become the designated workbench today, but anyway, it is still just as handy. So these are little grub screws, or not grub screws, kind of a lock and bolt really. One thing I have to say about this macerator that I like is the quality. Considering this, everything here has been bathed in slurry since 2018. 7 or 8 years of being bathed in slurry constantly. Everything is good quality, even the bolts, the open first go. The
There's no major signs of rust on anything. Very light. These spring units here, I think if I had to buy them, alright, they'd be more expensive side of the rebuild, but they're top quality. I don't know if it's stainless or titanium or what is in them, but they are as good as new, which is good to see. If I went to opening up all this now and everything rusty and kind of half rotten, it would turn you off the whole job. But everything, it really, once it's cleaned up, shines up as good as new. So the quality is definitely there, which is important for this, as I said, because it spends most of its life just bathed in the slurry. There was no Loctite, no signs of Loctite on them little bolts, so I'm not putting any back in. So that's that. That just keeps that knife carrier in place. So we're ready for assembly of our first. Yeah, that's lovely and free there now, popping up and down. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. That's just floating away there its own accord. New knife, thick end up, narrow end down. Not sure how these will go in. There's a bit of resistance on them, but not bad. Yeah, I have a rubber mallet for that. Give them a tap. When putting on this, I wouldn't recommend using a lump hammer or that. I would imagine it wouldn't take a lot to smash it, and you damage the cutting edge then as well. So we don't want either of those things to happen. Just like that. Bit of tension on them just to keep themselves locked in place and sure. Perfecto. I think. This is my first time doing this job, as I've mentioned, so you'll be learning bits as you go. I did watch a video on YouTube, a quick video on YouTube, which is handy. But yeah, I think we're all good. I'd say really and truly the best way to do it is assemble that, put the knife on it before you put the knife holder in place. Just put it on the vise or whatever. Right, so that's this one, let go again. Clip is out, or clip is out. A bit better. And when the spring is let go, you can move it around pretty freely. And you just want to make sure that these little boys, the little tabs on the spring here, are in them proper holes. And they're all fine there. Like there's very little pressure when it's completely wound off. You can do it by hand. But there actually is a little tool for doing these now. But anyways, I don't have it. So I'm going to do my very best to do it with this pliers now. Again, I have not done this already. Just try to re-grab this again. Wind it all the way up. Push the spring aside. Go for a second now. Get the oar clip started. Wind that back like so. Get your hole lined up and in with the oar clip. Yeah. Spring compressed. So you have the tension on, shove the oar clip in, the little hole there, line that up, pop that in. And the one thing to do is make sure these are your little bolt holes there to hold it onto the rotor, and you have the oar clip face backwards, because otherwise, I'll just show you here the reason for so, because there's two little notches cut out here, there, and they are to give the oar clip room so you can pull it out when it's fully assembled. And basically, before you put the back cover on the macerator, that's the last job you do. So pretty simple. I'll bolt this back up and our rotor is ready to go in. So now we are at the back of the tanker here at the housing of the macerator, and we've this cutter plate put back in. Aidan has that back in and bolted in from the back there where I showed you earlier where it unbolts. Just taking a quick look around, we put a bit of oil on it just so when we've it assembled and the knife rubs against it, that it won't be just steel and steel contact. It could be a bit aggressive. So just rubbed a bit of oil, any sort of oil around it. I'm not a big fan of putting grease in around these things when assembling the likes of this, because it might cause problems again with fibre and that, and the slurry just sticking to it and it getting all tacky. So I'm keeping it kind of clean as I can, but the likes of here I don't mind, because that's kind of a clean surface anyway, but everywhere else I'm keeping it to a minimum. And what we've done here is just got a bit bolt, or if you had a bit of thread of bare and cut the head off it, there's shims here, you can see, these 8 or 9 shims is there, and that is the shaft of the motor. The motor is in at the back there, so you can see that there, where the 2 pipes go in. That's the shaft of the motor, and the rotor shaft just slides in over that, and there's like a grease packed seal in there. So it's a big wide rubber seal, and there's grease in the center, and the idea of that is to keep the slurry away from going out to the motor, and probably also stops the oil from that coming back in if your main seal went in the motor. But yeah, so you have a grease nipple there. I always used to give it a couple of shots of grease. I wasn't sure if it was a bearing or not, to be honest, that grease nipple. But that's what it is. Big wide seal, and the cavity in the center is packed with grease. So you give that a couple of shots every now and again. So we're going to slide these in. That side is oiled up as well. This surface is cleaned up, ready for a bit of sealer. And we are ready to pop our rotor in. Keyway is in the shaft. Make sure your keyway is in. And we're putting in the rotor now. Just make sure or just have it roughly lined up, and it should find its own way in. So I'll get in to hold the camera here, and we'll stick in this rotor. Right, so that's the rotor. Just double checking that everything is that the knives and that are in place properly, and try not to fall off the ladder. Break your name. Up then and in with it. Get the keyway lined up within reason. Cannot see our keyway grate. Just again, just double checking them shims are in place right. And yeah, so just get your keyway lined up and push it in. The idea of them little shims are just to keep your rotor spaced in the center, as they're important, but you'd only change them really because they're not a wearing part. There's no movement on them. You just keep the rotor centered in the housing basically. So that's it. I think that's pretty much in place. Could be a bit of trial and error with this now, and we're not used to it, but I'd say we're not a million miles off. Bit of free play there. I might just give it a tap of a hammer or a light tap just to send it in. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. So that's it in place, and then when we get this side plate on now, put a bit of sealer around there, get that side plate on. I have a bit of oil put there as well where that housing goes into the seal, where it meets the seal, so just to go easy on the seal when it's being offered into it, just it'll slip in a bit better rather than binding up on the seal. But everything looks like it should, I think, looking at it from this angle here anyway. Side plate in, bolt it up, and we can give her a spin then. Yeah, and that bolt or threaded bar, I'd be able to get my hand in here now and thread that out. Can you see up there? Yeah, right in the middle of a macerator there now. And the shims, that's just to keep the shims centered, as I said. Just makes life easier besides them fall around the place and that. That bolts out. Throw it away or do what you want. And you put back in this one. That is just threaded straight through the center of the shaft. There was thread locker on it, so we'll be putting it back with thread locker, and there's a washer there and a rubber thing. A rubber kind of washer as well, I suppose. So get that threaded in there, get that tightened up, and that stops the rotor sliding back and over on the shaft. So that's solid on the shaft of the motor now, and that shouldn't go anywhere. The thread locker is good, can cause problems somewhere if you're trying to open a bolt again, shearing, but the way I look at a lot of these things, if there's thread locker in it when we opened it, it was there for a reason, so we'll be putting it back in. And so far I think that's the only place I have seen thread locker. So yeah, get this tightened up, in plate on, and give her a spin.
Getting sprung. We used to dance the night away, hang out the whole next day.
Right, now you've seen the time lapse. We've got that side plate back on. Put the bit of sealer in it. Side plate back on. everything looks nice here. Don't know if you can see the bit of free play there on that, and this far side is the same. So that looks right. So next job is pull the R clips. If I can. That's one out. I suppose watch your fingers as well while you're doing this. Two out. Yeah, use the pliers, pulling the R clips, handier. Fingers are out of danger, harm's way. So that's tightened up and that's tightened up. So all you need to do now is spin the rotor and do the exact same with the other set of R clips.
Yeah, so we started the tractor there and just floated the spool valve. And it allows you to turn it freely then. Knock off the tractor there again, Aidan, before I put my hand in there.
So swing her around, out she comes, and out she comes. That's actually a satisfying part of the job. So free play should be gone out of these, both sides, and they have, and you can see when I pull the clips that the springs have turned out. So I think we are onto a winner. We'll give it a spin now and see how it looks. Right, so Aidan is in the tractor and Macerator is running. Going both ways there, nice and free. Do not stick your hands in anywhere near that when it's moving anyway. So yeah, there it is.
Full rebuild on a Vogelsang macerator, and we actually put
two new pipes on here as well. They're going out to the drippers. We got a 30-meter roll and put it on. So yeah, new knives, cutter bar, cutter plates, and new seal.
less, I think about 920 euros, very close to that now. But no big expense and no major job once you got to know it, and had a quick look around, cleaned up everything as you have seen. So yeah, that's it. Not the most expensive job. Like, that should do for years now, again, without me doing anything with it. All going well, provide no major foreign objects or anything like that get into it, so be happy out. So all we have to do is put the feed pipe now back onto it, 4 bolts there, and it's ready for slurry. Yeah, so we stick that back on. Yeah, so just after clamping this on, we're actually after realising that we made a slight blunder, but only minor. These are eye hooks, whatever you call them. That's what's keeping this on here, but that's actually originally what was keeping on here, because I couldn't find the nuts, and I was slightly puzzled because we had everything put into a box. But we'll switch them over. It's no big deal, just 17 spanner. These are easier open in the field. All you need is a screwdriver or something to get in behind them and whip them off. So this is your main inspection. It's your feed and it's your main inspection. This is where I go now if you got blocked. This is the first place I'd open up and see. Usually you get going just opening this up, but thankfully we don't do that too often. So yeah, get these tightened up. But there you have it anyway. That's how you rebuild a Vogelsang macerator. If there's anyone with more knowledge on them that may have said, oh, you should have changed the seal in there, that grease seal that I was on about, let me know. But I don't think so. We looked through everything. I was happy enough with everything. There's no point throwing out good parts and putting in new stuff all the time. When you look through it and you see, when you can see it, I don't think it's point getting overexcited. And just thanks to David from Vogelsang for giving me the information on these and regaining my faith. Not that I've really lost it, but the macerator just wore out, so regaining my faith in the Vogelsang. So yeah, thanks to him for that. And if there's anything you need to know on them or anything, or if you want more information on the job we've done here, give us a shout. Yeah, that's it. That's it for today's video anyways. Ready for slurry, and yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers for watching and good luck.